in light of what we have. We had,
Okay, I'm setting up the YouTube.
all right.
Okay, I'm setting up the YouTube. Okay, we're ready.
Thank you, Tina. Good evening. Today is Monday, February 22nd, 2021. Welcome to this evening's regular meeting of Oregon City Council. Let's begin tonight's meeting by reciting the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge of allegiance to the flag, United States of America,
United States of America,
Okay.
to
to
the
the
republic
republic
for which
which
it
it
stands,
stands
one nation,
one nation
under God,
under God,
indivisible,
indivisible,
with liberty.
with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much. Ms. Evans, would you please take a roll call of council for attendance this evening?
We're still getting a little feedback from somebody's mic. I don't know whose.
Okay, hold on, just,
Tina, it looks like it's you. So
okay,
turn down
yeah,
your
so,
volume just a bit.
You think it could be from me, so I can shut my
no,
door?
it's mine.
No, it's Tina.
It's mine. Okay, so I need to get the YouTube, I gotta get the YouTube down, right?
Yeah, you need to mute the YouTube and then
No, it's
maybe
mine.
turn your volume down a bit too.
It's mine. Tell Alex to come over here. So I need to get the YouTube, I gotta get the YouTube down, right?
Yeah,
It is nice to hear everyone twice, though.
and then turn your volume down a bit too.
Are you good, Tina?
I don't think so. Hold on.
It is nice to hear everyone twice, though. It's almost 20 seconds behind, yeah. Modern communication.
Just give me 1 second here.
20 seconds behind, yeah. Modern communication.
Earlier, they asked me for the link.
Okay. All right. Okay, let's give it a shot.
Tina, would you take a roll call of council for attendance this evening?
Mr. Davish,
Here.
Mr. Horniak,
Here.
Mrs. Pauloff,
Here.
Mr. Reeves,
Here.
Mr. Seaman, Mr. Wallensack,
Here.
Mr. Zale.
Here,
Thank you, Ms. Evans. Councilman Seaman did contact me this afternoon and made me aware that he was not going to be able to attend tonight's meeting. So I'll seek a motion to excuse Mr. Seaman's absence.
Mr. President, so moved.
Mr. Davish, thank you, Mr. Davish.
Second.
Second by Mr. Horniak. Council, any objections? Hearing no objections, Mr. Seaman is excused from this evening's meeting.
It's double.
Also joining us are Mayor Michael Safarian, our Clerk of Council, Ms. Tina Evans, City Administrator, Mr. Michael Beasley, Law Director, Melissa Purpura, Public Service Director, Mr. Paul Roman, our Finance Director, Ms. Darlene Huntermark, our IT Manager, Alex Schultz, Recreation Commissioner, Tim Borton, the Fire Chief, Mr. Denny Hartman. Am I missing anybody? And Assistant Fire Chief, Mr. Mark Mullins and Joe Wolf.
Jim.
Council's first order of business would be the approval of the meeting minutes from the February 8th, 2021 regular meeting of council. Can I get a motion, please?
So moved, Mr. President.
Thank you, Mr. Reeves.
Second.
Second by Mr. Horniak. Council, any objections? Hearing no objections, the meeting minutes from the February 8th, 2021 regular meeting of council are approved as submitted. Council, we did not have a committee of the whole meeting last week. Therefore, we will have to add items 16 through 27 of 2021 to this evening's agenda. Can I get a motion, please?
So moved, Mr. President.
Thank you, Mr. Reeves.
Second.
Second by Mr. Horniak. Council, any objections? Hearing no objections, item number 16 through 27 of 2021 will be added to this evening's agenda. And we will start with item number 16, which is being presented by Mayor Michael J. Safarian, City Administrator, Mr. Michael Beasley, and Law Director, Melissa Purpura. Mayor?
start with Mr. Beasley to present this.
Mr.
Okay.
Beasley.
Mr. President and members, as you know, for many years, Oregon has been part of an aggregation coalition for both natural gas and electricity. We feel very good about how that has worked for our residents. It is one of the very few things that government can do, is actually doing, that puts money in our residents' pockets. We've literally saved tens of millions of dollars for the regional population through this partnership over what they would have done if they just stayed in their normal position on it. This contract is a little bit more unusual this year because we're down to a final negotiation between two parties and we're running out of time on a contract expiration. So each of the NOAC communities is passing legislation like this that gives us authorization to bargain and kind of get it wrapped up. And I think we have a conference call either tomorrow or Wednesday to try and wrap it up. It's kind of an unusual time, so I'll tell you why it's a little bit delayed. Columbia Gas, whose job it is to deliver the gas through a pipeline, has significantly increased one component of their charges through the Federal Energy Regulatory Commission. It is a temporary increase that is done pending a resolution at the federal level. And it might be that we think that we will, the consumers will end up prevailing on a portion of it, and it'll be reducing the charge. And we're really negotiating with the parties about whether or not they will pass those savings on to the members or keep it. So it's kind of a cumbersome bit of negotiation that's going on, and there's some interesting legal questions involved in it and some negotiations. So we're asking for authority to move forward with final negotiations and enter an agreement with the consortium based on how those negotiations wrap up in the coming days.
Thank you, Mr. Beasley.
Melissa, anything that we left out of that?
No, the only thing I would add is those two contract reviews that we would be moving forward with is both Constellation and Volunteer Energy, and it's on a 12-year or a 12-month term that we would be looking at.
Thank you, Ms. Purpura. Mayor, do you have anything to add?
No.
Okay, thank you, Mayor. Council, is there any questions for the administration on item number 16 of 2021? Here are no questions. I will assign item number 16 with ordinance number 16 of 2021 and ask Ms. Evans to read it into the record. Ms. Evans.
Authorizing the mayor and director of finance to enter into a customer supply agreement for the provision of natural gas to residential and small commercial customers within the city of Oregon and declaring an emergency.
Thank you, Ms. Evans. Council.
President,
Mr. Davish.
I move for passage of ordinance number 16 of 2021 as emergency.
Thank you, Mr. Davish.
Second.
Second by Ms. Pauloff. Ms. Evans, would you please take roll call of council on passage of ordinance number 16 of 2021 as an emergency measure?
Mr. Davish?
Yes.
Mrs. Pauloff?
Yes.
Mr. Horniak?
Yes.
Mr. Reeves?
Yes.
Mr. Wallentek?
Yes.
Mr. Zale?
Yes.
Thank you, council. Please note that ordinance 16 did pass by a vote of 6 yeas, 0 nays. Item number 17 is being presented again by Mayor Michael J. Safarian, City Administrator Mr. Michael Beasley, and Law Director Melissa Purpura. Mayor?
I think this is pretty well stated here. It's our internet and phone service. One of the Melissa or Mr. Beasley may add a few details to it, but it is what it is.
Mr. President,
Mr. Beasley?
it's just one of the notes. One of the things that's been an obstacle toward efficient communication for us has been that our pipe to the internet has been too small for a long time. And this provides for a considerable expansion of that capacity. So our departments and those who are in the building can get much easier access. I think Alex pointed out the pipeline to his apartment was more than twice the size of the pipe that served the entire city prior to this agreement. So thanks to Alex for helping us to figure out why our service was so slow so frequently and allowing us to move forward. Melissa, I don't know if you have anything else to add, but we felt good about where we are. Among the things that's out there, let's face it, we don't have a lot of choice into where we partner for this just because of the nature of the where the fiber is in the market and where the cable is. But we think we have a good arrangement here. This is available for us. Melissa, anything you want to add?
I would only add that upon speaking with Alex and Buckeye Telesystems, they've done a great job in, I think, working with us and working out the terms. I was on the phone with them today with Alex, and it looks like it's going to be a great plan for us for the next 3 years, especially for increasing the bandwidth when it comes to recreation, some of the concession stands, also with fire, to help improve our efficiency. But upon reviewing the terms of it, it looks all in line. And again, they were great to work with, along with Alex.
Thanks,
Mr. President.
Mr. Beasley.
Just one little note. Among the little things that we're doing, our fire stations had so little capacity, they couldn't even download or share information very practically prior to this. Our out and rec, we're going to be able to, through this process, we're going to be able to make a credit card machine work at concessions in a much more efficient way in a world where people just don't use cash anymore. We just have to have that capacity. So these are little steps to make us more efficient as a city. We felt good about it.
Thank you, Mr. Beasley. Mr. Beasley, I know that in the past, other council members have mentioned this to you, and I know citizens have mentioned it to many of the council members on expanding our broadband width for our community. I know our hands are tied on that, but is there any way that we can try to force somebody's hand to deliver more broadband services to the community?
We can encourage it. We've been continue to have conversations with interested providers. The challenge is that Buckeye has gone out and invested in the community, and they've got cable and line running around, and that has been, they're the ones who have the service, and they do a good job, but it's every year there's more demand. So even our cell towers, which have, we built more cell towers, and they do a tremendous job of meeting what the need was when they were planned. Every year, it seems like we're sucking down more data through our phones and through our systems, and that's competing for calls. And I know Sylvania has something on their agenda this week arguing about a location for a cell tower as well. So that's going to continue to be a problem for all communities going forward. It's a moving target, and we're very engaged in conversations along those lines, but we have more conversations than solutions.
Thank you, Mr. Beasley. Council, is there any further questions for the administration on item number 17? Here are no questions. I'll assign item 17 with ordinance number 17 of 2021 and ask Ms. Evans to read it into the record. Ms. Evans.
Authorizing the mayor and finance director to enter into a contract with Telesystem, formerly Buckeye Telesystem, 2700 Oregon Road, Northwood, Ohio, to provide voice long distance services, internet access services, and point-to-point lines from the municipal building to remote locations for a 3-year period at a monthly cost of $4,512.48 and declaring an emergency.
Thank you, Ms. Evans. Council.
Mr. President,
Yes, Mr. Reeves.
I move for passage of ordinance 17 of 2021 as an emergency measure.
Thank you, Mr. Reeves.
Second.
Second by Ms. Polliff. Ms. Evans, would you please take roll call of council on passage of ordinance number 17 of 2021 as an emergency measure?
Mr. Reeves,
Yes.
Mrs. Polliff,
yes,
Mr. Davish,
yes,
Mr. Horniak,
Yes.
Mr. Wallenzeck,
Yes.
Mr. Zale,
Yes.
Thank you, council. Please note that ordinance 17 did pass by a vote of 6 yeas, 0 nays. We'll move to item number 18. Item 18 is being presented by Mayor Michael J. Safarian and Public Service Director Mr. Paul Roman. Mayor, Mr. Roman.
Thank you, Mr. President. And also, you see this is a purchase of a vehicle for the Streets Department. We do take advantage of these police interceptors, which Ford has special pricing on, makes it a good deal. Mr. Roman can tell you what he is going to use it for in the Streets Department.
Thank you, Mayor. Mr. Roman.
Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you, Mayor. As we noted in the 2021 CIP budget, the engineering department was looking to replace a 2006 Ford Explorer, and we were really just looking to find an SUV in one of the other public service departments. In Unit 22, is it's a Chevy Tahoe 2015. And it's again, 015, 70,000 miles. We were hoping to get this into the engineering department. And when we do this, then that department would get a new vehicle, which is what's listed in this ordinance. So it really would be used for, this vehicle will be used for sewer work by one of the crew leaders. And just like the Chevy Tahoe would go to the engineering department and be used by our environmental specialist, Don Nelson, for sewer work. So half of this purchase for this vehicle is paid for through sewer revenues. So, and that is listed in the budget accordingly. So happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Mr. Roman. Council, is there any questions for the administration on item number 18?
Mr. President,
Yes, Mr. Zale.
I was just, curious when I saw the police interceptor. I know how those are built. I mean, are we getting this at a price that's better or comparable to a regular Ford Explorer?
It's
a better price.
Yeah, it's almost the exact price. Yeah.
Okay.
And Ford has made them incentives for police departments, and we've taken advantage of that.
Oh yeah.
Other occasions.
Thank you, Mr. Zale.
It's a good package for us. We feel good about it.
Is there any other questions for the administration on item 18? Hearing no questions, I'll sign item 18 with ordinance 18 of 2021 and ask Ms. Evans to read it into the record. Ms. Evans.
Authorizing the mayor and finance director to issue a purchase order to Bauman Ford Oregon LLC, 2811 Navarre Avenue, Oregon, Ohio, for the purchase of a 2021 Ford Explorer Police Interceptor Utility All-Wheel Drive Base K8A vehicle to be used by the Street Division in the Department of Public Service in an amount not to exceed $34,689.14 and declaring an emergency.
Thank you, Ms. Evans. Council.
Mr. President,
Mr. Davish.
move for passage of ordinance number 18 of 2021 as an emergency measure.
Thank you, Mr. Davish.
Second.
Second by Ms. Pauloff. Ms. Evans, would you please take a roll call of council on passage of ordinance number 18 of 2021 as an emergency measure?
Mr. Davish,
Yes.
Mrs. Powell,
Yes.
Mr. Horniak,
Yes.
Mr. Reeves,
Yes.
Mr. Wallensack,
Yes.
Mr. Zale,
Yes.
Thank you, council. Please note that ordinance 18 did pass by a vote of 6 yeas, 0 nays. We'll move to item number 19. Item 19 is again being presented by Mayor Michael J. Safarian and Public Service Director, Mr. Paul Roman. Mayor, Mr. Roman.
Thank you, Mr. President, and you'll see this is our contract to provide gasoline and diesel fuel for the city pumps. Mr. Roman can tell you how the details of this work through the supplier, but I believe that's the same supplier we've had for several years now.
Mr. Roman.
Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you, Mayor. And yes, that's correct. Crystal Flash has been our fuel vendor for almost the last 10 years. But in order to check pricing, we compared Crystal Flash's unit pricing to the current state purchase contract. And we have a memo that explains this, but Crystal Flash's unit prices are still the lowest and best price simply because they use the Toledo rack price. The state contract is based on the Columbus rack price. And when you look at it, Toledo is always lower by almost 2 cents per gallon. And but like last time we did this contract, we issued the purchase orders to both the state purchase contract and then the local or better contracting area. Simply, there's times when you may not be able to get fuel, and if the Columbus rack ever drops lower than the Toledo, then we would purchase through the state contractor as well. So get best of both worlds. So we are recommending to issue 2 purchase orders, one to the state purchase vendor and then the other one to Crystal Flash. So
thank you, Mr.
That's fine.
Councilors, are there any questions for the administration on item number 19? Here, no questions. I'll sign item number 19 with ordinance number 19 of 2021 and ask Ms. Evans to read it into the record. Ms. Evans.
authorizing the mayor and finance director to issue purchase orders to Crystal Flash, 1754 Alpine Northwest, Grand Rapids, Michigan, in Great Lakes Petroleum Company, 4500 Renaissance Parkway, Cleveland, Ohio, for the 2021 purchase and delivery of petroleum products used by the city divisions for vehicles and equipment and declaring an emergency.
Thank you, Ms. Evans. Council.
Mr. President,
Mr. Davish.
I move for passage of ordinance number 19 of 2021 as an emergency.
Thank you, Mr. Davish.
second,
Second by Ms. Pauloff. Ms. Evans, would you please take a roll call of council on passage of ordinance number 19 of 2021 as an emergency measure?
Mr. Davish,
Yes.
Mrs. Polloff,
yes,
Mr. Horniak,
yes,
Mr. Reeves,
yes,
Mr. Walczak,
Yes.
Mr. Zale,
yes,
Thank you, council. Please note that ordinance 19 did pass by a vote of 6 yeas, 0 nays. We're going to move to items number 20 through 25. These are annual contracts that move through Mr. Roman's office. Mr. Roman, you'll just speak with about all of these, and then we'll vote on them individually. Mr. Roman?
Okay. Thank you, Ms. President. And yes, these are annual, I call them blanket contracts. They're really with either consulting firms or testing labs to do work for us. A lot of times throughout construction season and just any inquiries in general. So, and all of the contracts are on an as-needed basis only. And even when we hire them, we still get a quote from them listing their hours, and then they use the unit prices in the contract. But item 20 is with Demetric and Jacobs. They are an electrical engineering firm. We use them for technical support at the wastewater and water treatment plant. Item 21 is Solomon Diving. They provide underwater inspection and they provide repairs as well, but for the water treatment plant and the sewer system. Item 22 and 23 are with Bowsher Morner and TTL. Both provide construction testing and inspection work for us. Item 24 is with DGL. They are a consulting firm that provides traffic engineering support for our engineering department. And then item 25 is quality control inspection, and they provide inspection for us a lot of times in subdivisions and on some of our water and sewer projects. So, but happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Mr. Roman. Council, is there any questions for the administration on items 20 through 25? Very good. We'll vote on these individually. I will sign item number 20 with ordinance number 20 of 2021 and ask Ms. Evans to read it into the record. Ms. Evans?
authorizing the mayor, finance director, and director of public service to enter into a contract with Demetric Jacobs Engineers Incorporated, 1101 Research Drive, Toledo, Ohio, to provide professional engineering services and technical support for the Oregon water and wastewater treatment plants, supervisory control, and data acquisition systems on an as-needed basis and declaring an emergency.
Thank you, Ms. Evans. Council?
Mr. President,
Yes, Ms. Pauloff.
I move for passage of ordinance number 20 of 2021 and declaring an emergency.
Thank you, Ms. Pauloff.
second,
Second by Mr. Reeves. Ms. Evans, would you please take a roll call of council on passage of ordinance number 20 of 2021 as an emergency measure?
Mrs. Powell,
Yes,
Mr. Reeves,
yes,
Mr. Davish,
yes,
Mr. Horniak,
yes,
Mr. Walczak,
Yes.
Mr. Zale,
yes,
Thank you, council. Please note that ordinance 20 did pass by a vote of 6 yeas, 0 nays. Item number 21, I'll sign item 21 with ordinance number 21 of 2020 and ask Ms. Evans to read it into the record. Ms. Evans?
authorizing the mayor, finance director, and director of public service to enter into a contract with Solomon Diving Incorporated, 6450 Stadler Road, Monroe, Michigan, for diving inspection services on an as-needed basis and declaring an emergency.
Thank you, Ms. Evans. Council?
Mr. President,
Yes, Ms. Powell.
I move for passage of ordinance number 21 of 2021 and declaring an emergency.
Thank you, Ms. Powell.
second,
Second by Mr. Reeves. Ms. Evans, would you please take a roll call of council on passage of ordinance number 21 of 2021 as an emergency measure?
Mrs. Powell,
Yes,
Mr. Reeves,
yes,
Mr. Davish,
yes,
Mr. Horniak,
yes,
Mr. Walczak,
Yes.
Mr. Zale,
yes,
Thank you, council. Please note that ordinance 21 did pass by a vote of 6 yeas, 0 nays. Item number 22, I will sign item number 22 with ordinance number 22 and ask Ms. Evans to read it into the record. Ms. Evans?
authorizing the mayor, finance director, and director of public service to enter into a contract with Bowsher Morner, 1419 Miami Street, Toledo, Ohio, for materials and laboratory testing, engineering, and construction inspection services on an as-needed basis and declaring an emergency.
Thank you, Ms. Evans. Council.
Mr.
President.
President,
Yes, Ms. Pauloff.
I, what was that, 20?
22.
I'm sorry. I move for passage of ordinance number 22 of 2021 and declaring an emergency.
Thank you, Ms. Pauloff.
Second.
Second by Mr. Davish. Ms. Evans, would you please take a roll call of council on passage of ordinance number 22 of 2021 as an emergency measure?
Mrs. Powell,
Yes.
Mr. Davish,
Yes.
Mr. Horniak,
Yes.
Mr. Reeves,
yes,
Mr. Wallenzeck,
Yes.
Mr. Zale,
yes,
Thank you, council. Please note that ordinance 22 did pass by a vote of 6 yeas, 0 nays. Item number 23, I will sign item 23 with ordinance number 23 of 2021 and ask Ms. Evans to read it into the record. Ms. Evans.
authorizing the mayor, finance director, and director of public service to enter into a contract with TTL Associates Incorporated, 1915 North 12th Street, Toledo, Ohio, for materials and laboratory testing, engineering, and construction inspection services on an as-needed basis and declaring an emergency.
Thank you, Ms. Evans. Council.
Mr. President,
Yes, Ms. Pauloff.
I move for passage of ordinance number 23 of 2021 and declaring an emergency.
Thank you, Ms. Pauloff.
Second.
Second by Mr. Davish. Ms. Evans, would you please take a roll call of council on passage of ordinance number 23 of 2021 as an emergency measure?
Mrs. Powell,
Yes.
Mr. Davish,
Yes.
Mr. Horniak,
Yes.
Mr. Reeves,
yes,
Mr. Wallenzeck,
Yes.
Mr. Zale,
yes,
Thank you, council. Please note that ordinance 23 did pass by a vote of 6 yeas, 0 nays. Item number 24, I'll sign item number 24 with ordinance number 24 of 2021. And ask Ms. Evans to read it into the record. Ms. Evans.
authorizing the mayor, finance director, and director of public service to enter into a contract with DGL Consulting Engineers LLC, 3455 Briarfield Boulevard, Suite E, Maumee, Ohio, to provide professional engineering services for various traffic analyses on an as-needed basis and declaring an emergency.
Thank you, Ms. Evans. Council.
Mr. President.
Yes, Mr. Zale.
I move for passage of ordinance 24, 2021 as an emergency measure.
Thank you, Mr. Zale.
Second.
Second by Ms. Pauloff. Ms. Evans, would you please take a roll call of council on passage of ordinance number 24 of 2021 as an emergency measure?
Mr. Zale,
Yes,
Mrs. Powell,
Yes.
Mr. Davish,
Yes.
Mr. Horniak,
Yes.
Mr. Reeves,
yes,
Mr. Wallenzeck,
Yes. Thank you, council. Please note that ordinance 24 did pass by a vote of 6 yeas, 0 nays. Move to item number 25. I'll sign item number 25 with ordinance number 25 of 2021 and ask Ms. Evans to read it into the record. Ms. Evans.
authorizing the mayor, finance director, and director of public service to enter into a contract with Quality Control Inspection Incorporated, 9500 Midwest Avenue, Garfield Heights, Ohio, to provide construction inspection services on an as-needed basis and declaring an emergency.
Thank you, Ms. Evans. Council.
Mr. President,
Mr. Davish.
I move for passage of item number 25 of 2021 as emergency.
Thank you, Mr. Davish.
Second.
Second by Ms. Pauloff. Ms. Evans, would you please take a roll call of council on passage of ordinance number 25 of 2021 as an emergency measure?
Mr. Davish,
Yes.
Mrs. Powell,
Yes.
Mr. Horniak,
Yes.
Mr. Reeves,
yes,
Mr. Wallenzeck,
Yes.
Mr. Zale,
yes,
Thank you, council. Please note ordinance number 25 did pass by a vote of 6 yeas, 0 nays. Move to item number 26. Item number 26 is being presented by Mayor Michael J. Safarian and Fire Chief Mr. Dennis Hartman. Mayor, Mr. Hartman.
Go right to Mr. Hartman, please.
Chief Hartman.
I am going to, since Chief Wolf is the author of the grant, I'm going to defer to him. If you have, he can explain what's going on, and if you have any questions, he's the expert on it. So, Jim.
Thank you, Chief Hartman. Jim?
Mr. President,
Yes, sir.
this is a memorandum of understanding between 13 entities in and around Lucas County through the FEMA Assistance of Firefighter Grant. We were successful in writing this grant several years ago for communication equipment. We were approached again to write it. Being affiliated with Oregon now, we are the host jurisdiction. So we're the author of the grant. What this means is we'll be in charge of all the documentation and funds disbursement. So with that, we have to enter an agreement with financial institutions of each entity just for FEMA guidelines.
Thank you, Chief Wolf. Council, is there any questions for the administration on item number 26? Hearing no questions, I will sign item number 26 with ordinance number 26 of 2021 and ask Ms. Evans to read it into the record. Ms. Evans.
Authorizing the mayor and fire chief to enter into a memorandum of understanding with regional and local governments participating in the regional FEMA grant and declaring an emergency.
Thank you, Ms. Evans. Council.
Mr. President,
Yes, Mr. Zale.
I move for passage of ordinance 26 of 2021 as an emergency measure.
Thank you, Mr. Zale.
second,
Second by Ms. Polliff. Ms. Evans, would you please take roll call of council on passage of ordinance number 26 of 2021 as an emergency measure?
Mr. Zale,
Yes.
Mrs. Polliff,
yes,
Mr. Davish,
yes,
Mr. Horniak,
yes,
Mr. Reeves,
yes,
Mr. Wallenzeck.
Yes. Thank you, council. Please note that ordinance 26 did pass by a vote of 6 yeas, 0 nays. Move to the last item this evening. Item number 27 is being presented by Mayor Michael J. Safarian and Recreation and Parks Commissioner, Mr. Tim Borton. Mayor, Mr. Borton.
We'll go to Mr. Borton.
Mr. Borton.
Thank you, Mr. President. The IUA, they provide all our umpiring services for all our games that happen out at the rec. Without them, a lot of our games would not have officials, or none of our games would have officials. They are kind of the sole provider in the area of these services. So this is just our contract kind of renewal with them for the upcoming year. And then we'll renegotiate again at the end of the year for 2022.
Thank you, Mr. Borton. Council, is there any questions for the administration on item number 27? Here, no questions. I'll sign item number 27 with ordinance number 27 of 2021 and ask Ms. Evans to read it into the record. Ms. Evans.
Authorizing the mayor and finance director to enter into an agreement with the Oregon Officials Association, also known as the Independent Umpires Association of Northwest Ohio, to officiate athletic events scheduled by the Oregon Parks and Recreation Department.
Thank you, Ms. Evans. Council.
Mr. President.
Yes, Mr.
I
Reeves.
move for passage of ordinance 27 of 2021.
Thank you, Mr. Reeves.
second,
Second by Mr. Horniak. Ms. Evans, would you please take a roll call of council on passage of ordinance number 27 of 2021?
Mr. Reeves,
Yes,
Mr. Horniak,
yes,
Mr. Davish,
yes,
Mrs. Polliff,
yes,
Mr. Wallenzeck,
Yes.
Mr. Zale.
Yes.
Thank you, council. Please note that ordinance 27 of 2021 did pass by a vote of 6 yeas, 0 nays. That ends the items for consideration and passage this evening, and we'll move to the mayor's report. Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. President, and I got some appointments here to make, and I'll start first from the fire department and the appointment due to the retirement of Chief Bob Young at Station 43, we're absent one chief, so we want to fill that position, and I'd ask council's concurrence in the promotion of Andy Laurel, employee number 1977, to the position of battalion chief at station number 43, and the effective date would be tomorrow, February 23rd, 2021. And once again, I'd ask council's concurrence in that appointment.
Thank you, Mayor. Council.
Mr. President,
Yes, Mr. Zale.
I move to concur with the mayor on the promotion of Andy Laurel to the battalion chief of Station 43.
Thank you, Mr. Zale.
second,
Second by Mrs. Polliff. Council, is there any objections? Hearing no objections, Mayor, council concurs with the promotion of Andy Laurel to battalion chief at station number 42. Congratulations, Mr. Laurel.
And we will go still within the fire department and ask council's concurrence in the accepting the resignation of Jacob Baker, employee number 2311, and the effective date for that is March 1st, 2021.
Thank you, Mayor. Council.
Mr. President,
Yes, Mr. Zale.
I move to concur with the mayor on accepting the resignation of Jacob Baker.
Thank you, Mr. Zale.
second,
Second by Mrs. Polliff. Council, is there any objections? Hearing no objections, Mayor, council concurs with the acceptance of the resignation of Jacob Baker from station number 42.
Then also I'd ask council's concurrence in accepting the retirement resignation of Jerry Miller, employee number 1747, also effective March 1st, 2021. And Jerry has 20 years with the fire department at station number 42. And I'd ask council to grant his wishes for retirement by concurring.
Thank you, Mayor. Council.
Mr. President,
Yes, sir, Mr. Zale.
I move to concur with the mayor on accepting the retirement of Jerry Miller, and we thank him for 20 years of service. It's a long time. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Zale.
second,
Second by Mrs. Polliff. Council, any objections? Here, no objections. Mayor, council concurs with the acceptance of the retirement resignation of Jerry Miller from station number 42.
And next, we'll run this retirement push. I'd ask council to, with the concurrence of the retirement of John Waterworth, and his effective date would be May 1st, 2021. We don't have John's on this letter years of service, but I know it's more than 40. So John's been here a long time, and we'll respect John's wishes in retirement, but I always like seeing John around, and I'll miss him.
Thank you, Mayor. Council.
Mr. President.
Yes, Ms. Polliff.
I move to concur with the mayor's acceptance of the retirement of John Watersworth after over 40 years of his dedication to the city.
Thank you, Ms. Polliff.
Second.
Second by Mr. Reeves. Council, any objections? Hearing no objections, Mayor, council concurs with the acceptance of the retirement of Mr. John Waterworth with his greater than 40 years of service to the community. Thank you very much.
And now on a couple of appointments, and that would be to the position of special prosecutor. And I have two of them here. First is John Arnsby, 6613 Elmer Drive, Toledo, Ohio. And next is Ted Riley, 3115 Goddard Road, Toledo, Ohio. And both are effective tomorrow, Melissa?
That would work.
All right, so we'll use February 23rd of 2021 as the effective startup date at the terms that are specified in this letter, which is at an hourly rate that is $68 per hour. And I'd ask council's concurrence in the appointment of, once again, John Arnsby and Ted Riley to the position of special prosecutor.
Thank you, Mayor. Council.
Mr. President.
Yes, Mr. Zale.
Just a quick question. Was Nate Daniels on that list too?
He was at one time, but at this time, Melissa wanted to go through it with those two.
Okay.
He wasn't omitted. It was okay. This is what.
Okay. Okay. I concur with the appointments.
Thank you, Mr. Zale.
Second,
Second by Ms. Polliff. Council, any objections? Hearing no objections, Mayor, council concurs with the appointment of Mr. John Arnsby and Ted Riley to the position of special prosecutor.
Okay, and this next one is pursuant to the Oregon Municipal Code, we have what is called a tax review board. And one of those positions is appointed by the mayor, and I'd ask council's concurrence for that. And the other two are by council. And we have a couple names here. And I'll first start with the mayor's appointment, and that would be of a stranger here, Michael Beasley, and be for the term of the 23rd of February tomorrow to the 22nd of February next year, 2023. And I'd ask council's concurrence in the appointment of Michael Beasley to the Tax Review Board.
Thank you, Mayor. Council.
Mr. President,
Mr. Zale.
do we get to see his tax returns?
You can have them. I would hope you would do my tax returns for me.
No, I concur with the mayor on the appointment of Michael Beasley to the Tax Review Board.
Thank you, Mr. Zale.
Second.
Second by Ms. Powell. Council, any objections? Here, no objections. Mayor, council reluctantly concurs with the appointment of. Mayor, do you want to do the
I'll
council?
go on with this. I'll explain this and then we'll go from there. So being that the council needs to appoint 2 members to it pursuant to the Oregon Municipal Code, we have found 2 people willing to serve at that capacity that are CPAs in the city of Oregon. One is Michael Ferrito. The other is Yulin Tucker. I know Yulin Tucker has served in Tax Equalization Board before. Mike Ferrito, I think most of you are familiar with, has been a long time resident in the city of Oregon, and pursuant to the code, I would ask council if they're willing to appoint that by motion, and if one is, somebody could make the motion that we accept both of these individuals to the position of Tax Review Board.
Thank you, Mayor. Council.
Mr. President.
Yes, Ms. Pauloff.
I move to appoint to the Tax Review Board Mike Fiorito and Yulon Tucker.
Thank you, Ms. Pauloff.
Second.
Second by Mr. Zale. Council, is there any objections? Here, no objections. Mayor, council appoints Michael Ferrito and Yulon Tucker to the Board of Tax Review.
And I thank you. Now we can operate as a city again. Now that we got that board. And with that, I would complete my report.
Thank you, Mayor. Mr. Beasley.
Mr. President, members, the only thing I'd note is the biggest action in the city tonight is the line in front of Culver's on Navarre. It's actually a little bit much of a line, but it's just the way it is in the first couple of days or something like that. We had something similar when Chipotle opened. I know on Secor, there have been a couple of openings that have led to backups like that. I did ask Chief Bagan just to take a look and say, if you have any ideas for traffic safety, let us know. But it's nice to see that energy coming from the facility. And I'm looking forward to some other things opening in that area in the next year or so. So we'll continue to look at that. Also, very few of you noticed in the fine print on the umpire contract that Terry Reeves is the only person allowed to argue with umpires' calls. It's embedded in that contract. So just take a look at that. That's all I had today.
On the Culver's note, the reason for Jim Seaman's absence is at about 5:30, I sent him out a pot roast sandwich from still waiting in line. I knew he was going to bring it here to me.
Well, enjoy that pot roast sandwich, Mayor, when he gets it.
Sometime tomorrow.
That's right. That's right. Is that all you have, Mr. Beasley?
That's all I had tonight. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Roman.
No report, Mr. President.
Thank you, Mr. Roman. Ms. Purpura.
No report, Mr. President.
Thank you, Ms. Purpura. Mr. Reeves.
No report from my standing committee. Excuse me, but I want to give great kudos to our street department from the snow that we've had and how great our streets were compared to a lot of the other communities. They do such a great job and they need to be applauded. So thank you.
Thank you, Terry, for mentioning that. We've told them they did a great job, really on top of it. And so we felt really good about the outcomes. And for our residents, just a reminder, it's never perfect. When we plow, we push snow in front of driveways. It's the only place it can go. And we do get some calls on that. But it's the best system there is. We feel good about it. So thanks, Terry.
Thank you, Mr. Reeves. Mr. Zale.
No report, Mr. President.
Thank you, Mr. Zale. Mr. Davish.
President.
Thank you, Mr. Davish. Ms. Poliff.
No report from my standing committee, but to reiterate what Terry said, really kudos goes out to the streets department. And I really do want to thank the mayor for putting out the snow emergency to get the street cars off the street, because that was a really big help for them to get into the neighborhoods. So kudos to everybody. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Poliff. Mr. Horniak.
No report, Mr. President.
Thank you, Mr. Horniak. I have no report from my standing committee, but I do need to set a couple of public hearings, or one public hearing and some public hearings on ag districts. We'll start with the agricultural districts. I have, I believe, 6 of them here before me that we need to set for Monday, March 8th, 2021. We'll start the public hearings at 7 p.m. If by good fortune we can get into council chambers by then, we will. I will let you know, council members, that if we do move back into council chambers in the month of March, we probably will not be streaming the meetings, because the audio capabilities in the way that we were doing it in the past just aren't capable of picking up the audio for the residents. But the new equipment that we will have being installed that Tina helped direct, and Alex, that will improve our capabilities, and we will be able to live stream at that time. So again, if we go back to the council chambers in the month of March, we will not be streaming. They'll have to listen to it on a recording after the meeting is done. So I just wanted to inform you guys of that.
Mr. President?
Is that Mr. Reeves?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
What are the chances of us just trying to make that decision and come back that 1st of April?
That's probably where we're leaning towards that. But I just wanted you guys to know that, we are getting pushed by some members to get back in council chambers. And, I think we're leaning in the direction of waiting until we have full capabilities of the audiovisual system, so that the residents can continue to see the council meetings.
Yes, but I also believe, Mr. President, that most people will be in our demographics, and that stuff here might be have their vaccine and that stuff by then, and it'll be a lot safer. To
most definitely. Most definitely. I know that they're in, is it category B right now? 65 and over can get their vaccinations as they're moving through that.
In a lot of school districts.
Yeah, a lot of school districts. So we are getting closer to the people that have either had it or are being vaccinated. So we are moving closer to getting back in the chambers. Maybe in 2 weeks, we'll let you know if that happens.
Thank you.
Yep. The agriculture districts that we need to set a public hearing for are renewal for an application for an ag district for Alice Jean Dominic for 30.15 acres at 3814 Brown Road. A renewal application for an agriculture district for Jack Carsonson for 2.73 acres located at 3980 Brown Road, and 9.37 acres located at 3960 Brown Road. A renewal application for an agriculture district for Jack and Barbara Carsonson for 9.571 acres located at 3960 Brown Road. A renewal application for an agricultural district for the city of Oregon for 56.27 acres located at 5518 Seaman Road. And then we have a renewal application for an ag district for the Oregon Economic Development Foundation for 20 acres located at 4250 Corduroy Road. And a renewal application for an ag district for Kevin M. and Kathy S. Fox at the following locations: 4.74 acres located at 150 North Lollendorf Road, 24.38 acres located at 0 Corduroy Road, 28 acres located at 5701 Cedar Point Road, 40.279 acres located at 805 North Stadium Road, 20 acres located at 5255 Cedar Point Road, 19 acres located at 1340 North Wind Road, and 60 acres located at 5201 Corduroy Road. Again, the public hearing for these agricultural districts will be Monday, March 8th, 2021, starting at 7 p.m. And then I have one additional public hearing that we need to set tonight. I need to set a public hearing for Monday, March 22nd, 2021. This is for a zoning change from R2 medium density residential to C3 planned commercial district on the property described as 2965 Pickle Road, parcel number 44-23941. The applicant is the Oregon Planning Commission for the owner, Oregon Economic Development Foundation. And again, that public hearing will be scheduled for Monday, March 22nd, 2021, starting at 7 p.m. With that, I'll seek a motion to adjourn, unless anybody has any questions on any of the public hearings that I had to set.
So moved, Mr. President.
Thank you, Mr. Reeves.
Second.
Second by Mr. Horniak. Any objections? Hearing no objections, the meeting is adjourned. Thank you very much.
Have a
See
great-
everybody.
Good night.
Have a good week, everybody.
Yep,
Yeah.
same to you.
Be safe.
Just-
Have a good one.
The only other note out there is we're about to have a city pool on when the snow in our parking lot will melt. So we'll give you all a chance to get in on it. Maybe we'll open it up to the public on the city's Facebook page.
Are we still, we're all